What is good, TPA podcast? It's your boy Big Holla. We're back with another podcast, and I got a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Lielac. I am a singer, actress, dancer. I pretty much do everything but sleep at this point, honestly.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said, let's go down the list. What was the first one?
Singer.
Okay, tell me about singing.
So I've been singing since I was little. Professionally, I've been doing it for a year because anxiety. But yeah, that's definitely my passion.
So when you say professionally, what does that mean, like in singing terms?
Like releasing music, making my own music, performing, stuff like that.
So how was like the first performance, being that you like have anxiety?
I actually just had it like a couple days ago, and
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was good. It was awkward a little bit because I could see I'm a little knock-kneed, but I'm just going to ignore that. But it wasn't too bad.
Was it as bad as you thought it was before you went up there?
Mm-mm.
Really?
No, I definitely built that up a lot.
Where was the performance at?
It was at this little bar in Atlanta for 420.
Oh, wow.
Which seems fitting. I'm from Denver, so it seems
what?
fitting. Yeah.
Okay, so when did you move out here from Denver?
So first we moved to North Carolina in 2015, and then I moved to Georgia 2 years ago, almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we had singing actress was next. So tell me about the actress part.
So I haven't done much recently. I've been like some stuff for Netflix, not anything big, just like extra. And then
I mean, all Netflix is big though. You know, you have to scream your accomplishments. All right, everything's an accomplishment. There's no little things in your journey. But so you said Netflix extras, and what else?
Just like musicals in high school and stuff
really?
like that. Yeah.
So were you like a theater kid in high school?
Oh yeah, I was that little annoying theater kid. Absolutely.
That's so funny because my brother, he was like in theater. He got like plaques on the wall. Like our parents grew up making us like play sports, but when he got to high school, he started doing theater. So like his wall is full of like best actor in the county awards and stuff like that.
No, that wasn't me. Mine was I auditioned for Annie and started sobbing halfway through it, and the teachers felt so bad that they gave me a role. That was me.
All right, so singing, acting, what else?
Dance. I dance as well. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the dancing part.
So that's kind of like the acting. I don't do it as much anymore, but I was like cheerleading, poms, dance in high school, that kind of stuff. Now I do it at home and tell myself that I'm good at it still, but hopefully I still am.
I mean, like dancing should play into like your performing too, right?
Yes.
Do you?
Yeah. It definitely does.
So was there anything else on that list, or was it those three?
It was those three. Working on more stuff, though.
So if you had to pick one and then other two you could never do again, which one would you pick?
Singing.
Singing?
100%, yeah.
Why?
It just like it calms my chaos. Like singing, I truly believe I just wouldn't be alive without it. Like it's something that really helps me cope with daily life, trauma, that kind of thing.
So what got you into singing?
I've been doing it since I was a little kid. I think it just started as something fun, but then I really dove into it and kind of just let it be all encompassing to me, and I found out just how healing it can be, and I've just been obsessed with it ever since.
That is so crazy. I wish I could sing. That's like one of the many talents, that and play an instrument. Like people who play guitar and piano, like y'all got it.
I can't do it.
Keyboard and mouse players too.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah.
So what do you think you're going to do with like your singing career, since like now you're performing, the world's opening back up? Like what are your plans for that?
Just be in as many shows as possible. It's weird because I don't necessarily want fame, but I know that I need it to achieve what I want, which is just helping as many people as I can with it. I feel like music creates a safe space that I haven't found anywhere else. So I want to help as many people I guess get the courage to heal with that space. So, but the idea of fame scares me. So
really,
yeah. It's
what about
terrifying.
It scares you?
There's just no privacy. You're under a microscope, and like any little thing you do or say gets held against you. People dig up your past. Like it's very anxiety inducing.
I would say this though, like I think like if you're like industry, then yeah, but like if you're not industry, most people don't even know. Like you can be a thriving artist, either like putting your stuff on a platform like YouTube or a big Spotify artist, and like 99% of people you walk by don't even know who you are.
That's true.
Yeah,
That is true.
I would just put it out. So where do you put your music?
It's everywhere. So it's
Okay.
Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everywhere.
How do you think people have received it? Do you think they received it like the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, I think for the most part they have, and even the people that don't like it have been really constructive. You know, nobody's torn me down yet. Everybody's been pretty like, oh, I like the song. It's not for me, but I do see the potential in it. So that's been good.
What made you pick? Because I talked to Naoma, right? She said she picked Atlanta. What made you pick Atlanta?
So I was already in Charlotte, and honestly, I was just like, I just want to move. And so it was a very split decision. I just got up by myself, moved to Augusta, where I don't know anyone, just completely on my own. And then Atlanta was close, so I kind of just started adventuring around.
How it like, because you're like, I don't know any of my friends that just picked up and moved, but recently I was talking to one of my friends. She was like, yeah, you know, I was living in Boston and my boyfriend, he had seasonal depression, so we just decided to move to Arizona. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's an intense move. Luckily Augusta's close, so it wasn't like financially super tough.
Yeah.
But I think it's because I'm an only child, so I'm very independent anyway. So if I want to go do something, like I just do whatever I can to get it done.
Okay. So what were your inspirations like in music?
Queen. I really love Queen. Ariana Grande. I like Dua Lipa, Kendrick Lamar. I'm kind of all over the place
For real?
music. Yeah.
What? Okay, I know you're not supposed to ask this, but how old are you?
I just turned 27.
Okay. So do you think like where music is going is somewhere that because usually when people get around the age of like 25 plus, they start looking at the new generation like, we don't really like your music. So how do you feel about like the trajectory of music?
There is music now that I think is good. I do think it's frustrating to see how many people do it just for attention, though, because music is so personal to me that it's almost offensive just to see people that do it just for clout or money or not like for the love of it.
Yeah.
But I do think there is some good music that I've heard from the younger generation.
So what are like some underground artists that you listen to, like guilty pleasure type stuff?
I don't know if I know. I mean, underground, probably Scotty, Illuminati Scotty.
Okay.
She's really good. I listen to more mainstream, so I mean, my guilty pleasure artists like Melanie Martinez. She's not underground, but like, yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Did you take like vocal lessons, or were you like naturally gifted in singing?
I did in high school.
Okay.
But then she wanted me to play piano, and I was like, my fingers just don't move like that, and then I quit.
So what's been your biggest struggle on like your artist journey so far?
Performing.
Really?
I think that because music is such a safe space, it's almost like a detriment to me because it's like I don't want to let people in. I want to have this little thing and keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Which is not a good reason not to share your craft with people. So just getting over that, I think.
Yeah. So was there ever a time where you're like, you know what? I want to quit. I don't like this no more.
All the time.
So what leads you to feel like that sometimes?
Social media, because I feel like you put so much time into social media, and then it's like, you know, I do everything myself. Like, I edit everything myself. I film everything myself. And it's like when you spend so much time and your engagement's not good or people are not really messing with it, it's really discouraging. So that definitely.
Do you think, like, the social media, like, warps people's perception of success?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people I met on there that I'm like, wow, I want to be like this person. And then I talk to them, and they're not doing great. Like, they're behind the scenes, they're not doing great at all. And they might be looking at me wanting what I have. So. Do
you mean, like, doing great, like, mentally or, like, doing great, like, financially? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, like, personal relationships or financially or, you know, there's always something that we see what people want us to see. And there's always stuff behind closed doors that we don't see.
Yeah. People look, and I guess like there's like the industry that we know, like the major labels and stuff. Then there's like the YouTube industry. There's all of that, and like there are bad people in there. Like,
YouTube
crazy.
For sure. Yeah. Oh man.
Hold up. So what you mean by that?
YouTube creators.
Talk to me.
I'm gonna get canceled on my first podcast.
No. You're good. You're good. Like, I'll tell everybody you don't have to say nobody's name on here. So you know.
I just feel like social media to a certain extent breeds a little bit of narcissism, and there's kind of no way it can't, because if you're like a famous person and everything you do, there's hundreds of thousands of people telling you it's the right thing, even if it's not, you're probably going to make some decisions that hurt people and destroy people, and there's a lot of that on YouTube.
When's the time that you've seen somebody do something and you're like, if you were a good person, there's no way you should do that?
I would say like social media influencers that have been exposed for like talking to younger fans or using their fame to manipulate fans into dating them, or using their fans to like, they'll gather them up and be like, go be mean to this person. Like, that's probably the worst one.
So do you think it's wrong for somebody to like interact with a fan on that level?
I don't think it's wrong, but I personally wouldn't do it. And I think if you do it, you have to really be mindful of the power dynamic there.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, because it's weird. Because, like, I had this discussion with, like, a couple of my YouTube friends. I asked them, like, the people who, like, are your subscribers, would you ever, like, link up with them or stuff? And some of them have, some of them haven't. So I always am interested in people's perspective, because it's like my homie Snipe, when I talked to him about it, he said, if I have 1 million subs and I'm single, say his fan base was 50-50, right? I'm alienating 50%, or I'm alienating 500,000 people that I could possibly be with just because they found my YouTube first. So
that's true.
I don't know. I like rack my brain about that occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, I just think like if I met Ariana Grande, like obviously I could sit here and be like, I wouldn't care. But if I met her, I'd be like, I don't remember how to breathe. Yeah. I'm going to need a second to remember how to breathe.
Have you ever met somebody that you like looked up to like that?
Not yet.
See, I remember my mom told me this. I played for a basketball team, and we had like the 8th grade team, like the 3 years before, they won a championship. So like we were about to be like 4 years in a row. So they brought like V103 to our school, and they brought Day 26, which was like the Making the Band people. And they came in, and I told my mom, like, after, I was like, I mean, they're just regular people. Like everybody else was like, and my mom was like, you're so Bob. I'm like, I mean, I just think and maybe it's just my perception, but there are some people who like, when they run into people, they start acting different, you know?
Yeah. I like to say I wouldn't, but I mean, if there's like, or if I met Kendrick Lamar and there's like a puddle, I'd be like, you can walk on me if you need to get over that puddle.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see there being somebody that I would feel like, there are people who I look up to as inspirations, but I don't know if I would be like starstruck. Yeah. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
So. And some people are actually like surprised when you meet them and you don't treat them like they're a star. Some people take offense to that.
That's so entitled.
Yeah.
I would think it would be weird, honestly, if someone like fangirled over me. It would make me uncomfortable, honestly. Yeah.
So, like, where do you see yourself performing at coming up in 2022, since like the world is opening back up? Like, what are your plans?
I'd like to get down to Miami more and Atlanta more. I'd like to just be in festivals. I think festivals are so cool, like Rolling Loud or Coachella's obviously the big boy, but like music festivals would be really awesome.
Has anybody ever noticed you like off your music yet?
Yeah. So I actually had a couple people from Atlantic and Def Jams, but at the time I didn't have any music out. I just met them during a singing competition.
Okay.
And by the time I had music out, they were like on to the next.
Yeah.
So, but I do get recognition from it.
Oh, that's what's up. But have you ever met somebody who listened to your music and they're like, "Oh my God, that's you"? Has that happened?
I did sign my first autograph the other day.
Oh, really? How did that feel?
It was weird. It made my skin crawl. I was like, her? No, not me.
Did you like practice your autograph before you did it, or you gave them like your driver's license signature?
I used to practice when I was little a lot. But this one, it's weird. I find like the more time I take on it, the worse it looks. So I try to just be really quick with it because those look better. Okay.
Have you been to other people's performances before? Like
famous people or like
either one?
Not really people at my level, but famous people. Yeah, like Paul McCartney and which the Beatles are another big inspo. Can't believe I didn't say that. My dad's gonna kill me. But
Are your parents like supportive of all of your music endeavors?
oh yeah,
That's what's up. So what was your like first studio time like?
It was a little bit tough for me just because I do have anxiety and I'm such a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely think I annoyed the producer because I'm definitely someone that's like, if any little tiny thing is wrong, run it back. Let me do it again. Like, I'm very particular, but I've gotten a lot better about it.
That's what's up. I used to do music. I was always like, I have to do it in one take. I'm not punching. I have to, if I don't do it all straight through perfect, scrap the whole thing. But
Dang.
yeah. Are you different? Or are you like let me do this part and then this part and then which way do you go in and do your music?
Kind of part by part, but there's also parts where I will think they sound horrible and everyone in the room is like, I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out. So it's kind of like nitpicky with myself.
How much harder, because I rap, so it was easy. Like, they can do whatever to your voice. As a singer, like, do you like your stuff to sound like natural, or do you like when people like put the effects on your voice?
I like both. I think there's different vibes for both. Like, more of a fun song is fine with effects, but something that's really deep and you want people to feel it, I think is better, more natural.
Okay. How did COVID like affect your writing process?
In a weird way, it was really good for it because I was stuck inside. So I kind of had to find outlets. And COVID made me even more anxious, which the more anxious I am, the better music I write. I find when I'm like the most emotional, that's when I write the best stuff.
Yeah. What would you say is your best song you ever wrote?
It's a song that's not out yet, but it's called Aren't You Tired? And that's by far my best one.
What is that one about?
So I actually have PTSD, and it is kind of about how my worldview changed. It almost felt like everything was in color, and then when I got PTSD, everything is black and white now, and everything is just either good or bad, and everything is like catastrophic, and it just really changed how I viewed things.
So when you say PTSD, where does that come from?
It comes from a couple things actually, just like assault. It comes from I've watched people die in front of me. I've been assaulted several times, so that kind of thing.
That sorry to hear that, you know.
Thank you.
But I think there's like this mental health like awareness that's going on the internet, which is great, because if people can figure out how to rewire their brain for them to exist in a happier state, went fantastic. But do you feel like were you like diagnosed with that?
Yes.
Or like, okay.
Yeah.
So when you hear people like self-diagnose themselves on the internet, does that bother you at all?
Depending on how that manifests, yes, because so I kind of have experience with that myself. I feel like I'm a little autistic in some ways. It's always been hinted at by my doctors, but I never actually got the test because I didn't think I wanted to know the results.
Okay.
That being said, I would not claim, yeah, I'm autistic. Like, I have it. I do have a suspicion, but I wouldn't publicize it. If you feel it and it's something that makes you more aware of your behavior, that's fine. But if you're on TikTok, like, autism matters and because I have it, so you can't be mean to me because I have it, then yeah, that's a big old no. Yeah,
there's people are like running people off platforms, and I think people are using it as like a personality trait sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
and if I did, like, if I were to go on to be diagnosed with autism, it's not like it's not something I would look forward to. It's something that would give me relief in that, okay, this is why I act like that, but it's not something that I would like want to have so I can use it as an excuse to enable my bad behavior or something like that.
Like, I've seen like Twitch streamers, like it looks like they just like looked on the internet like, I feel like this fits me, you know, and put it in their bio, which, you know, like, to each his own. I just think it's like harmful for the people who actually are trying to, because I think anybody, and you could answer this, for people who feel like they have PTSD, they would rather take steps to not have it, right?
Oh yeah, I would get rid of it if I could.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, I don't need any doctor, you know what I'm saying? I know what I am. I know. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely still think there's a big stigma, especially like being a part of the Black community. I've met a lot of my people that still don't like therapy and
Yeah.
still stigmatize it, and it's like it's everybody, but especially it hurts to see people that I know would benefit so much from it, but they take it as I'm crazy or like
Yeah.
therapy is so beneficial. I honestly think even if you're fully fine, therapy never hurts. I feel like everybody should get it.
That's what I believe. But I think a lot of people, I guess, like if you grow up knowing therapy is like a good thing, then you'll do it. But a lot of people grow up like, I don't want to say pretending, but like a lot of people hide who they really are from everybody else, right? And they just don't want to unlock them doors because I feel like to a certain extent they'll, I don't want to say realize they're a bad person, but maybe I'm just speaking from my perspective of the people I've dealt with, but that's content.
I mean, it is hard to hear where you like your downfalls. It's hard to hear about things you're not good at, but I really feel like that's necessary. It's kind of like I also feel like people want yes men around them instead of people that will be like, hey, what are you doing? And the hey, what are you doing people, those are the people that care. Those are the people that are like, I see what you're doing and you need to not do that. And those are the people you want around you.
Exactly. Because that's how you get further in life. Like the internet gave people a way to like build like these crazy echo chambers, never leave their house. I'm so glad people are going back outside.
Yeah.
How do you feel the interaction with people has been since things have been loosening up, like with restrictions of like mask mandates and stuff like that?
I do feel like there's still a level of anxiety there. I feel like everybody's a little bit on edge. And I almost feel like people are less mindful of each other because everybody's just like ready to be outside. And I don't care if I'm cutting you in line because I'm outside. And like there's almost kind of like an inconsideration there. Yeah. But I think that'll die down. I hope it'll die down.
Yeah. I've learned that like people who are outside during the daytime are a lot nicer.
Yeah.
But people who go out at night, like, especially last night, I did a public interview in Buckhead. And like people just don't want to associate with nobody, with who they're with. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, it's cool. But do you think the quarantine affected people for like the better or worse? Because some people became very introspective during those moments, and some people became introverted in those moments. So, do you think it affected people negatively or positively?
I think there's people that definitely took it positively, but I think that it was negative in a good way. And I do think like the people that were uncomfortable probably benefited from being uncomfortable because there's a certain level of uncomfortability that you're like, okay, something has to change. Like I have to be better or do better.
So what did you do besides songwriting? Like when the pandemic first hit, what was your like storyline from there?
So I actually worked for a hospital, delivering oxygen to COVID patients, helping like sleep apnea patients. So I was nonstop work because I had like 22-hour shifts. So that's pretty much all I was doing. Yeah.
How do you feel about like when you logged on to your social media platforms and people was like, it's not real? How did that affect you?
There were definitely times where I was more argumentative than I would be because I did see firsthand like how overworked the people in the hospitals were and how traumatizing it is because I mean these nurses, like the people that were dying, their families were not allowed in. So the nurses had to be the one to kind of guide them into whatever you believe in happens next. But it was really traumatizing. So it definitely was a trigger for me to hear people say that. Yeah.
How did you go into the nursing field? Was that like a dream of yours?
So I wasn't a nurse. I was more of like I was an oxygen delivery coordinator. Okay. And then I did a couple things in regards to sleep apnea patients, but my mom actually, she works for the hospital. She still does. And I got in through her.
Oh, that's what's up. But I always wanted to ask somebody. I've never spoken with anybody who worked in, because once quarantine hit, like I was only around YouTubers. So like I really didn't interact with that many people. But I think it's an interesting statement. How did you feel about like the stuff that like the government mandated? Did you agree with like those things or not?
I kind of did, just because I feel like we were not trustworthy enough to not like be in a far enough distance. We weren't trustworthy enough to not spread it. Like there were people up until the last day of the mandates that would not wear their mask.
Yeah,
and I
for sure.
didn't think that I felt like there was a reason for those mandates as much as they sucked.
I never been such a victim to my perspective until COVID hit. Cause like I was like, I knew like, cause I took science classes, I was like in advanced biology and stuff like that. So when this, okay, you know, I understand why this is happening, but I didn't understand people who couldn't understand.
Right.
And I think that forced me to put myself in other people's shoes of, all right, there's got to be a way to explain this for people to, without yelling at them, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if I quite figured out that balance at the time, but I'm trying.
And that's why I like the YouTube so much, because like you could watch people put things in perspective for people. Like I watch like Tier Zoo.
Yeah.
So they like explain how these diseases actually come from bats and what scientists do to try to put things in place before they make it to us.
Right.
That's why things can move so fast. So it was a lot of like Netflix did really good. There's this thing on there called Explained, and like they like made a 45-minute episode explaining like the functions of a virus and all of that stuff and how things move so quickly. So I just started sending people those links, let somebody else explain it.
Oh, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have done that instead of arguing with people on Facebook.
Yeah, because at first I was like, Twitter fingers. Like there's no way.
Yeah.
But I had to. I was like, my blood pressure was at an all-time high, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, me too.
So, are you still working in the hospital?
No, I'm
Okay.
not. Yeah.
So, when you, what, let me ask, what made you leave? Was it coming here?
It was coming here, but it also was, I felt icky about it towards the end because I knew that, so we had sleep apnea patients that needed machines to be able to sleep at night, and I knew that we were overcharging them. I knew that we were making it more difficult for them to get equipment that they would die without, and I just felt gross for being a part of it.
Yeah.
So.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I never like. That's why I say some people like live in like a fantasy, but once you peek behind the curtains of like certain things that go on, it's actually very like. I don't think people would want to participate as much as they would.
Yeah, because I felt good about it at first. I'm like, I'm helping people. I'm working for a hospital, and then I kind of learned how they do things, and I was just like, I don't feel good about this. So
I think a lot of it's business too, because I went to college for business. So like once you learn like how much, especially like pharmaceutical companies, like their profit margin is very small because like the amount of R&D that it takes to like develop these things and bring them to market. A lot of people are like, yeah, other countries they have blah blah blah. But I think one thing that America does well is they say, look, there's a very high bar because liability. All right.
Yes.
Here, you are going to be held liable. So that's why you have to clear this bar before we're gonna let you. Just give this to people because other countries. Well, I don't want to say that. From my perspective, I don't know the functions of other countries.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Doing stuff like that. But how has Atlanta been? Was it like a culture shock coming here?
So I originally moved to Augusta, and it was a culture shock because it's very small, but I loved it. I was just running around by myself, having the time of my life. And then Atlanta, so we've been there twice in the last couple of weeks, and every single time we go, we get robbed.
Really?
So it's, maybe.
Like car broken into, Rob?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
We're going to showcases both times.
Really?
Yeah. So I haven't spent time in Atlanta outside of that. So my impression of it is like, I got to come with like a baseball bat, I guess.
Like that's why I try to tell people, like my friend just got off the phone with me. He's like, yeah, should I come to Summer Jam? I'm like, listen, all right. no. Don't come down here. And I feel like Atlanta has got a bad rap during COVID because we closed for like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they were
it
like,
was not long at all.
open it back up, right? So everybody was still open. So that caused like people from other cities to come here that
Yeah.
are trying to make money. We'll just put it that way, right? So we have a lot of people here in close quarters that maybe beefed over the internet, you know what I'm saying? Or yeah, so I think we just got a bad rap. This is not Atlanta, all right?
Yeah, but I mean, even the times that we were like the car was broken into, I will acknowledge that there is a very large homeless problem, and like there is, like, I can't say what I would do if I was homeless and I'm destitute and I'm desperate and I need food any way I can get it. I need resources. I need ways to stay warm any way I can get it. If we took the homeless problem more seriously and gave them better places to stay, I feel like that would help a lot.
Yeah. There was this like homeless center by the aquarium. I don't know what type of work they've been doing, but like the prices in Atlanta for living have just skyrocketed. Like even in Metro Atlanta, like Atlanta built so quick in the past 2-3 years because we were literally, maybe besides like Texas, some cities in Texas, we were the like only people open. People were looking at Atlanta like, are y'all crazy? Like, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Did y'all look at it like that? Really?
Yeah, I was in North Carolina and I was at the hospital at that time. So yeah, I was like, Georgia, come on, you gotta get it together.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, they had more money than they ever had. Some people, they did good things with it. They started businesses, online drop shipping or something. They started something.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they went straight to being able to do the things they couldn't afford before.
Yeah.
Like the club scene erupted, like,
I'm sure.
in Atlanta. People went from, hey, we're giving away free sections. Y'all come, y'all can get 10 bottles of champagne for, you know what I'm saying, $200. Have a blast.
Dang, sign me up for that. Where was I for
Yeah,
that?
yeah. But then once everybody started doing it, then it was like, hey, it's gonna be $600, and then you get one bottle, you know what I'm saying, and then it became like $2,500, and people were just
It's gonna be 150 to breathe. So
yeah,
you
for
don't
sure.
want to hold your breath in here.
Yeah, I tell everybody, like, Atlanta, you can maneuver through Atlanta and have a very safe, fun time for not a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of it's hidden though. Like,
I can see that. Yeah, I could definitely see that.
I went to this place called a Painted Duck or something like that. You wouldn't even know it's there if you walk past on the street. But it's like one of the most extravagant, like, bowling alley venue type things I've ever seen. Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. But how did it? Well, do you know where the showcases were that you were performing in when that happened?
I know like the crossroads, but I don't know like specific
Like area.
kind of like specific area.
Well, all I would say is, like, where would I tell you to go if you were in Atlanta? Like, anything northern Atlanta, like towards Buckhead, good.
Oh yeah, Buckhead's nice. I heard.
They try to give Lielacs a bad name because like it had a lot of shootings during COVID. That's Lielacs was like the bougie mall, but now that everybody who makes money somewhere else came here, they were shopping there.
Right.
People were running into each other. I think like 80 don't quote me, but I think like 80% of like the shootings that happened at Lielacs were people that weren't even from here.
Yeah.
So
I can see how that would
that's
happen.
unfortunate. But you're from Denver? Mm-hmm. Is that where you were born at?
Yes.
How was Denver compared to the East Coast?
I do miss living in that side of the country more.
Okay.
I just feel like there's like more things to do. Not more things to do, but I do miss it. And I'm also like big into snow. I love snow. It's my favorite. I'm the only person I know that snow is my favorite. So I do miss it.
I hate the cold.
I don't like being cold. I will start a fight when I'm cold, but I like snow. I just think it's so pretty. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was there to do out in Denver?
I wouldn't say there was more to do, so I'll take that back. I feel like it was more familiar, though. Mm-hmm. I also will say which is crazy because I'm so light, but I have experienced a lot of racism in the South. So I feel like that's what makes me want to like go.
Yeah, like I've never grew up anywhere but the South.
Yeah.
So like, and I didn't even notice it until I got older. Like in hindsight,
Yes. Yeah.
it's like it just passes by you. And I guess like if you have the ability to move forward in life, it doesn't affect you as much. But like I had friends that didn't have like the abilities to do the things that I did,
Right.
and the way that it affected them was like, that caused me to be like, hold up, did this happen to like, and then look back at it. So what are some of the things that you feel like happened since you've been down here that made you look at it like that?
Well, for one, I was a manager at a store in Charlotte, and there was a manager above me, and I remember she was like the only white person there. All of us were of color, and she literally lined us up by race, like light to dark, and said, say the word jewelry. And there was like a darker skinned girl that said like jewelry. She goes, why do you people say it like that? It's jewelry, not jewelry. So I quit right after that. There was a girl that I worked with at a restaurant who had a table of black people that didn't tip. She called them N-word trash to me.
What?
I went to a birthday party for my friend, and I was the only black one there. And one of her friends came up to me and was like, I think you're cool, but like if my future child ever brought someone like you home, I would be disappointed in them.
Okay.
Like, wow.
So let me put it in perspective though. Okay. Like I try to find understanding with people most of the time, and I'm like, no excuse. All right. But it took me driving to Cleveland one time, right, to understand how people think like this, right? So, and that's why people always argue about, oh, cities are getting bigger, it's getting more expensive, blah, blah. Yeah, but the way that they're making cities now is as long as you could pay to live here, there's a lot of things you could do for free, right? So if you can pay the money to live by Piedmont Park, your children literally have Piedmont Park. We're going to make sure it stays safe during the day. And there's little shops, little people, or I don't want to say little people, but there's mom and pop shops in there that if your passion is cooking chicken all day, you could open you up a shop. You live down there, go cook in your shop all day, go home, do your business, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it's kind of going towards. But as somebody who was born like right outside of Atlanta, I've seen like the integration of people happen over the course of time. But I say that to say when I went to Cleveland, I'm driving, I'm going through parts of America, and I'm like, do they have internet out here? Like, is it like their houses are like a neighbor, and you wouldn't see another house for like 3 miles.
Yeah.
So that led me to believe like, or led me to think like, if they only watch TV, which is what people want to see, there are certain people making this media and portray things in certain ways. Of course, you would probably think that was everybody because you've never.
Right.
That's why I tell people you have to go outside and talk to people because most of the things that you see on TV or the internet isn't the incumbent of those like that group of people. So, but it's unfortunate that there are people like in positions of power, like a manager or a parent, that believe those type of things. But
and I do try to be like mindful of people that might just be ignorant about it, but I will admit I am biased about it, and my judgment is clouded about it just because those situations were so hurtful to me that I don't have sympathy. And maybe I should want them to be like, I hope they're better, but from where I am, I think that I'm still dealing with that hurt from it, that it just makes me not, I don't have any sympathy for it at the moment.
For sure, you definitely have to work yourself to be able to exist in those environments, because you would be doing yourself a disservice to put yourself in environments that you don't feel that you're prepared to overcome, because that could put you in worse places, right? But I also, this is why you have to watch Explained. It's called Brainwashed, the episode, and they talk about how they put people in a CAT scan and measured their brain, like the things that the parts of your brain that fire like when you're angry. And what they did is they put like let me say this the right way. They put a white person, a Hispanic person, a black person, and then like a Middle Eastern person. And they asked them questions before this experiment started. Like, would you ever participate in like groups like terrorist groups and stuff like that, or how do you feel about being in mixed communities and stuff like that? And most people answer like a 2 or 3 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
But then they played this game where they threw the ball back and forth, and they're just watching this. They're not even actually doing it. And the Middle Eastern person is seeing like the other 3 people pass the ball and exclude them, right? And that drove them further. Then their answers went from like a 2 and 3 to a 6 and 7. And eventually, when it goes long enough, you end up at a 9 or 10. So a lot of people think like they don't believe what I believe, let's exclude them. But the only way people, I think, like move forward is to sit and like, listen, I understand why you believe this.
Yeah.
Because in your shoes, that's all you could see.
Yeah.
People are it's a survival tactic. Prejudging things is a survival tactic. So let me just let you know, this is not what this is. So yeah, that's
really interesting. I actually was studying psychology
Really?
for a little bit because I wanted to do studies like that. I think that's really cool.
What's the type of study you think you will run?
I thought about doing studies, which kind of COVID was a whole study in and of itself of how people respond to like isolation and who would try to get out of it, who would just succumb and like just be in it. I really wanted to see that. There's also already been studies, but kind of the phenomenon behind why we're so bold online versus in person, which there are studies like that, but I want to dive more into that and kind of figure out.
Well, why do you think?
So one of the studies that I read about it actually wasn't for social media, but it was like, it kind of correlates. They had 2 people, one was hooked up to a machine, the other was allowed to shock them, and there was levels to shocking them.
What is that called?
Yes.
I forgot what it's called, man. But yeah,
but they wouldn't shock them as hard when they could see them, but they would put them behind a wall, and when they couldn't see them, they would just shock the crap out of them. And I think that's why, because when you're on social media, you can't see how people react. You can't see them be upset. Like, you don't know how much it's affecting them, so you're like, they probably won't care. I'm just going to say whatever. Go kill yourself. Like, stuff like that.
I think the synopsis behind it is like, the further people are removed away from the consequence of their actions, the more emboldened they are to do it. That's why, like, in that experiment, a lot of people who went to the full voltage of the shocking, when they wrote the thing or whatever, they said, it's what they told me to do. Y'all told me to participate, and the person told me to do it. And this might sound crazy, but I watched like a lot of documentaries on a certain person who rallied a lot of people to think things about certain people. We'll just put it that way. So, but like, because you have to understand the mindset of how people could end up doing something. Because even when people are like, it's so wrong that these people blah, blah, blah. And then my rebuttal to that is like, you got a cell phone? Yeah. Do you know what it takes to make that cell phone and how that affects other people? You really don't care the way you think you care.
Right.
But everybody is a victim of their perspective. So I don't know if there's a fix to it, but.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a fix to it either. Because obviously, like, the more platforms try to censor that, then that becomes a censorship issue, and it just kind of spirals from there. But I think just being more mindful of it. Because, like, when I was 13 and I was kind of, like, just getting into social media, I probably said some really mean stuff because I was a kid, and that's not an excuse. But knowing more now, I definitely wouldn't say the same stuff I used to say.
I don't see, but that's the thing. Like, people call it an excuse, but I don't want to. How can I say this? I don't think it's an excuse, but you didn't know. I think the more we can teach people to know, that'll solve like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a really big problem is like people who are trying to be educated, like for example, I be fighting on Facebook and it's not it's kind of a fun time for me, but there are times like for example during the elections where I would talk to people that had opposing views to me and I would say like, please educate me. I want to find out where you're coming from. And they would just like be so mean to me. And it's like, I'm trying to understand what you're saying though.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to learn how to educate people and not belittle each other. Because belittling someone is going to make them more aggressive to you. And kind of like that thing, they're going to feel isolated and then they're going to hate that person even more.
And I think it becomes like, shout out to my homie Crypto Rapper. You know what I'm saying? I went to his house for like a YouTube cookout and we're all chilling there. And you can understand why people vote the way they do based on where they live. If you're in a bigger city and it's more, you live in a building with thousands of people. So your sense of community, it seems bigger. Y'all are all helping each other live in this place where Piedmont is in our backyard, but we don't really know each other, right? So we may vote a certain way. Like, yeah, you could, person in floor 7, room 6, right? I want their kids to be able to go to the park just like my kids. So you could, we'll pay the police force a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, taxes, whatever. Yeah. You can see how somebody that lives in a place where, hey, look, it's me and like my 6 homies live within a 3-4 mile radius of each other. Why am I giving my money to anybody else that would like, I'm never going to see these people. Right. So you can understand why people may have certain views. Like America is so big. We think it's small, but it is so big. That you have people like even me, somebody from Atlanta. I go to New York and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Right? Have you been to New York before?
Yeah.
How did you feel about it?
I went for a choir trip and it was so much fun. I saw Nick Jonas. Okay, this broke my heart. I had such a crush on Nick Jonas. And then he came out and he was like this tall. And I was like, no, Nick.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, but I love New York. It's so much fun.
For real? See, I was like, as somebody who was from down here, I was a victim of like everybody leaving New York and coming here and like, yo, Georgia sucks. Atlanta's trash. I'm like, why don't y'all just, why are y'all parents coming down here for so trash? All right. But then I always used to go to like upstate New York. But when I actually went to New York City as an adult, I was able to understand like, okay, I see why people like it. Yeah. Because if you make your money, you literally have the whole world at your hands. You can go a mile away and see something that is culturally like Hispanic, like not Taco Bell, all right? Real Hispanic. You can see that. That's why I like New York, though.
Don't they have like a Chinatown as well in New York? And
they have like a Little Italy. Yeah. But see, there are some people who still have those type of beliefs. My friend was telling me there's a beach in New York. I think it's in Queens. And he was like, yo, look, if you are black, you cannot move here. They are not letting you move in this community. So it's unfortunate that the world moves like that, but
yeah, I mean, I kind of had a similar experience in Colorado because they were one of the first to legalize marijuana. And so everyone was flooding over there, and obviously like crime went up. It got like dirtier. It smelled like weed all the time. So people were like, Colorado's trash. I'm like, it's not though. It's beautiful. It's like a beautiful place to be. There's just an influx. Yeah.
So did you live out there when it happened?
No, I didn't. It was like a year or two after I moved. Yeah.
Have you been back since?
No, and I'm so sad about that.
Because I was gonna ask you, how do you feel like the city had changed since it?
I do have friends that live there, and they just said it's just really overcrowded now, and it's like really hard to get anywhere, and the traffic is really bad. But everyone I know still loves it enough to stay. So.
Do you watch Black Mirror?
Yes.
So you seen the episode? So you wanted to run the test of why people are so bold on the internet. Did you see the one where they have like the score for their social media?
Yes.
Do you think that's a valid way to run society?
I don't know. I think that might be a little bit extreme. I feel like it would cause more like turmoil in interpersonal relationships because it's almost like making you want to be more inauthentic because you're trying to fit that score.
True.
I would love to do a music video like Black Mirror theme though. I think it would be so cool. Yeah.
What would you do in the video, do you think?
I don't know. I did start I write in my spare time. I started writing a book that was kind of like Saw, which is funny because I've never seen it. But I was writing a book where basically the captive and the person who are torturing the captive are the same person. Because that's kind of how I feel about myself. Like, I feel like I am my own captive and I torture myself.
Wow.
So I wanted to try and do something like that.
That is so crazy. Have you seen the original Angel?
No.
You gotta watch that. I've been telling
I need a
everybody
list.
that.
I need a list. Yeah.
There's also this thing called Choose or Die. It came out on Netflix like last week.
Is that the one where it's like interactive?
No, that's Bandersnatch.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But this one is called like Choose or Die. You just gotta watch it. All right. Yeah, you gotta watch that one. There's a movie called Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I just saw an Instagram post about that.
Fire.
Yeah. Everybody's like, you gotta watch that right now.
Yeah. Do you believe in like the multiverse and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
What do you? Let me ask you. What do you believe in?
Like afterlife wise, or like
Anything
just
in life, afterlife. You know.
So I consider myself spiritual but not religious because I grew up in like a very interesting home. Like my mom is super Christian and my dad is Jewish.
Wow.
Yeah, so they kind of left me to my own devices with that. I do believe in an afterlife just because it freaks me out too much to not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out things. There are just things where it can't just be a coincidence. Like there's things that happen that I'm like, there has to be something making this happen.
Mm-hmm. Do you believe in like the rest of the universe? Okay. So, do you watch anime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your top animes?
Weirdly enough, Attack on Titan was my very first one, which is really intense for your first one. But I love Attack on Titan. I really like the dumb ones too, like B Gotta HK.
Okay, yeah.
Have you seen that one?
I've heard people talk about it though.
It's so funny. I like those ones too.
So like, when I see stuff like Attack on Titan or like JJK, I just watch it and I'm like, let's say for example, right? Did you watch Eternals?
No.
You gotta watch that. All right. Say for example, right? There was like intelligence up there, right? Now, I don't mean like life intelligence. I mean like robotic intelligence.
Yeah.
And they said, we see these Homo sapiens down here. How can we take what they got and make it ours? You could put something like in. I don't want to spoil Eternals for you. It's not really. But there's one person, he develops technology. And he wanted to expedite the evolution of humans. So he would drop technology to them and let them. But eventually, they created the atomic bomb and dropped it on Japan, right? And he was like, I can't believe I helped these people, blah, blah, blah. And like something like Attack on Titan, that little thing, the little monster that
yeah.
I'm like, so what if that happened? Like, have you ever took shrooms before?
Once.
Okay. How did you feel on it?
Oh, it was a crazy night. It was the first and only time I've ever been to a strip club.
Oh,
and
wow.
I had like a full-on broken arm. So I was like in a full cast. And I looked like I was about to go to church. I was just like a little church girl. And I went in and they
funny.
Loved me.
Really?
And then they were like, you should get on the pole. I'm like, with what? A prayer? Like my arm is broken.
That is too funny.
It was fun though. I had a fun time.
That was your first time in a strip club?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The only reason I say that is because like one time, like I took a shroom and like I just started thinking like there is no way you can know anything. It's crazy. Yeah. And I try to tell that to my friends who think they just know everything. And the fact that I argue with my friends a lot, they're like, oh, but you think you know everything. It's like I be knowing of things,
Yeah.
and I explain it. Y'all think y'all have the answer. We're different, but it's kind of like it's kind of scary because I feel like religion is like a person's explanation of what people consider spirituality to be.
Yeah.
Right? This is how I explain spirituality.
Right.
And then that's how you get the different religions. But so what do you let's see. So you believe in an afterlife. You believe like the multiverse. I'm trying to think. So when people talk about, do you believe in astrology?
I don't feel like I know enough about it.
Okay.
To have like a
grasp on it.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think is just like too far outlandish? Like, I don't know how people believe that.
Anything that causes you to hate other people,
Okay.
I think is a bit much, especially because a lot of religions are like rooted in we gotta love each other, but then
Yeah.
they use it as like, well, I hate you because of this. And it's like, what? So stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I tell everybody. Like, if you actually like read the stuff, I think like a lot of stories in religious texts is just like explanations of the world.
Right.
This is what is, and you should just try to be a good person because that's how you get through it.
Yeah.
So, do you, where could we go from here? So many. What do you want to talk about? I don't think I've ever asked that. It's a good question.
Ooh, okay. I think I did see that you talked about true crime. Do you watch a lot of true crime?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you watch like Netflix true crime and
I watch like a lot of like the documentaries that are based on like killers.
Yes. Yeah.
So who's your favorite killer? Like whose story do you think is like the most interesting to you?
Ted Bundy feels like such a basic bitch answer. There's definitely people I find more interesting, but there's something about him that I find the most interesting because he was so like he was in a position where he could have done so well. Like he was in law school and he just had so much potential, and it's like, what happened there? Like I just don't understand. Chris Watts is really interesting to me. He makes my skin crawl though.
Chris Watts is he killed his wife?
Yeah, and his babies.
That was crazy.
He makes me want to throw up, honestly.
Yeah.
But he's interesting.
And you know what's so crazy about Chris Watts? And did you see Don't Fuck with Cats?
No, because I feel like when it comes to animal violence, I will not tolerate it well. Because I heard that's a really hard one to watch.
But see that's the. So do you think you feel for animals more than you feel for humans?
I do.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you like feel that way?
I just feel like because they can't communicate like with us, and they're a little bit more helpless because a lot of them, like cats and dogs, like they're smaller. So if someone wants to throw them around or kick them around, they can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
That applies to humans too. You know, like people that abuse kids. Like kids are tiny, they can't do anything about it. So, well, I wouldn't say I feel for animals more, but I feel for animals and people in different ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you would feel the same way if you were like in the like Sahara Desert, with like, or not Sahara, or like the what is that area of Africa called? Let's just say with like the lions and elephant. Do you think you would feel in the same way? Like, dang. So like
they would eat me.
I just think like it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
I think people are meant to care about things smaller than them.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Because we know how it feels to have something bigger than us.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But yeah, so but Don't Fuck with Cats and the Chris Watts. The crazy part about those documentaries is I was an internet baby, all right? I was on the internet. I remember hearing, like, in passing, like, seeing memes of it back when it was happening. So when I watch these documentaries, I'm like, hold up. Have I seen this before? Like, type, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird.
I mean, Don't Fuck with Cats isn't that hard to get through. I think. I mean, he kills a person too. So.
Oh man, I didn't know. Oh, okay, I didn't know enough about it.
Yeah, so he's basically like a guy who this is like the dawn of YouTube. He like vacuum seals a cat into a plastic bag,
Aw.
puts it on YouTube, it blows up. And people start a Facebook group trying to find him. They're like getting there's this carpet in the background. Where could he have bought that? There's a vacuum. What country It's crazy.
Yeah.
So they ended up tracking him. He wanted to be a model. And that's why he was looking for this attention, but it's crazy.
Where are these groups for like winning lottery numbers? Like we need to get together and figure it out.
They do have like
they
groups
do.
of like people
Somebody
who,
send me an invite because I want to be in that.
even people at jobs, they pull money to like put lottery numbers out and stuff like that. It's
I need
crazy.
to do that.
What's another one? His name was Elliot Rogers. Do you know who that is?
No.
You have to. I watch Coffee House Crimes on YouTube, and Elliot Rogers is a guy, and he thought he was like the most beautiful guy. All the ladies would want. They call him the incel killer, and like he literally planned a whole day to kill all the Beckys and Chads, as many of them as he could.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. Yeah, and then he killed himself.
Oh man.
And then his friend that he was on 4chan talking to, that was in Toronto, after he died, he looked at it as like the inspiration for him to do it. So he like got a van, drove down the street, killed a bunch of people.
That's insane.
Yeah.
The Christina Grimmie one was a tough one as well.
Who's that?
She was the singer that got shot at one of her own meetups, at one of her own concerts.
Did they say why? Like how it happened?
So I actually just watched a documentary on this a week ago, and apparently, so this guy became like obsessed with her, and he got it in his head that they were dating, and she had no idea who he was, and then she came out saying that she was dating somebody, and he just couldn't take it, and he drove all the way down to her meetup and killed her, like in front of all her fans and everything.
Are you familiar with Twitch at all? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, how do you feel about influencers portraying to the world that they're single for the benefit of the growth of their career, but having a significant other?
So I don't think they should do that. And that's coming from somebody like, I'm in a relationship. I understand that announcing that as awful as it is, you do lose interest in some ways. Like people will stop following you. People will stop caring. But at the end of the day, like my boyfriend is the person I live with. My boyfriend is the person that I care about most. So if I lose people that I have no idea who they are, I don't care.
Yeah.
And parasocial relationships are a very real thing where people get attached to you. They feel like they know you, and they can't conceptualize that you don't know they exist. You have no idea who they are. So I feel like it's not only inconsiderate to your partner, but it's dangerous for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it goes back to like even things that are in like religious texts, like the want for money is the root. Is a lot of people, they shrunk the quote to money is the root of all evil. It's not. Money is a tool, just like every other tool. But the want for money or the greed for money is what leads to it, because that's the only reason you're doing it. And you can end up in a very bad situation.
Yeah, and if you want to be private, that's one thing. Like I understand wanting to be private. I'm a pretty private person, but I would not deny my boyfriend just to appease like people that I've never met. Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a big thing on like Twitch with that recently. But it's unfortunate because I know why guys do it. Because if you're from like a little small town and you're seeing women that you have never seen in person before, like I live in Atlanta, I've seen good looking women my whole life. All right, I may go to like another country and realize that I haven't, but who knows? I haven't been there yet. But if you're like the best looking girl in your high school is your cousin, like when you get on Twitch and you see this and she says your name, you're like, forget the other 30 names she said. Thanks for the sub. She said your name. And like some people just can't like break that reality.
Yeah, and that's tough for me because I do feel like I talk to my subscribers at, like my friends, because they support me. Like I wouldn't be anywhere without them, and I do want to have that relationship with them, but I do also have to be aware of like the dangers that come from that. So
yeah, but that's good though that you're aware of that, because some people, they just are like oblivious,
or they
like,
exploit it.
True.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where like my homie has somebody in his complex that is like, I'm gonna have you, I'm going to get you, and it's crazy.
I had to move. Like that was actually part of the reason I moved to Georgia. Is I have stalkers. I do, and I'm so small that I'm like, what? I'm like nobody.
I don't know. I guess it's in the eye of the person, whoever it is. Like if they look at you as like this thing, they're just gonna. But that's crazy. I don't think I have any. I don't think I've ever had a stalker, but my homie definitely got a stalker, and it's just a crazy situation to be in. But do you think it's harder for men or women to navigate like the internet?
I think it's harder in different ways because I feel like women. Well, I'll speak from my end. I'm very emotional.
Okay.
So I know that I'm very reactionary. I'm very like quick to, if I feel offended, like I'll go off. And I feel like because of that, it's hard for me to disassociate. Like a lot of people have told me for music, like, don't think about it too much. Just post what you have to post. It doesn't matter. Like, but I can't disassociate like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like emotionally it's harder for me, but I feel like there's a lot of things that men do that they get attacked for way more than if a woman did it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like they get more heat sometimes. So I feel like it's harder for both in different ways.
That's like the perfect answer. Because that's why some people, I guess, like a lot of guys who ask that question, they say, well, you don't think it's easier for girls? And girls say, you don't think it's easier for, like, to be honest, we are all molded a certain way. Like people say they're called gender norms for a reason. This is what normally the outcome would be if you have lived the experience of this gender, right? And yeah, I think a lot of guys watch what they say because like we've played sports. We played, not to say women don't play sports, but guys play sports. They're in a lot more close quarter activity with people that are comparable to their strength, right?
Yeah.
So like I can't say certain things, right? I got to think before I say this because my repercussion could be a physical altercation.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's why guys become more logical or perceived more logical. Let's not say more logical. Let's say less emotionally in situations.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's times where I'll get DMs from completely random people, and I will get, like, livid over it. My boyfriend's like, that person doesn't matter. Like, they don't know you. It doesn't matter. But it's, like, it's so disrespectful to me because they'll say something that, like, crosses a boundary or is disrespectful. And a lot of the times, like, I'll block them on Instagram. They'll find me on Facebook. I'll block them on Facebook. They'll find me on Snapchat. So I get, like, mad. And my boyfriend is right. Like, a lot of the time, like, I'm not going to care in a day. Yeah. But I get so heated. So I definitely think I'm more reactionary. I won't speak for all women on that, but I feel like I personally am. Yeah. Or even, like, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing that's going on. Let the roles be reversed. Let the roles be reversed on that. It would be hell to pay. Yeah. So...
Well, like, I don't know much about like what's going on. So do you know what's going on with like their whole situation?
So they're currently he's suing her for defamation because she said that he was abusive to her when it was very much the other way around. Like she threw a bottle at his finger and it made like severed his finger, like his bone was popping out. She pooped on his bed.
That's crazy.
She pooped on his bed. He said that she was hitting him, and she was like, I didn't punch you, I just hit you. Let that be the other way around. Let it be where he said that. No, it would not fly.
Because I seen like he got dropped from Pirates of the Caribbean. They were going to continue that. They discontinued that. He was supposed to be on Fantastic Beast, right?
Yeah.
They literally like that. All I know is she had allegations that weren't as fruitful as they seemed, right? And his career basically died because of that. And then she was in Aquaman.
Yeah, and her career's just fine.
Yeah.
And she's doing just fine. So
listen. Pooping on the bed is insane though. What is the most outlandish thing you have seen somebody do, like in a relationship?
I've heard about women like hitting their significant others, and I think the weirdest part of me is like they're proud of it. They're like, yeah, and I showed him, and I'm like, this is gonna be a hot take, but like, I feel if you hit anybody, you need to be prepared to get hit back. And I know a lot of people are like, men should not hit women, and I don't think anybody should hit anybody.
Thank you.
And if a woman is just like wailing on a dude, and he happens to hit her, you shouldn't have been hitting him. You shouldn't have been sitting there punching him.
I had this conversation with my ex-girlfriend at the time, right? We were having a conversation. And she was like, what would you tell your son to do? I said, look, my son's job is to stay alive. Mm-hmm. Protect yourself against anybody that you feel may be threatening your life. Because I don't want to tell my son, like, hey, she hit you, just don't hit her back. What she's going to do to get a rise out of you is escalate what she's doing. All right. I would prefer to be able to tell my son, just leave. But we've all seen people who should have just left.
Yeah.
So in the event that my son is emotionally attached where he doesn't leave, I would rather teach him that you need to protect yourself. Because I don't want her to go get a heel of a shoe and it hit you in your eye, a knife, a pan, hot oil. Because if you do that to my son, I am going straight to hell. Gladly,
yeah, same.
So,
and also, unfortunately, if a man decides to like call the cops, they don't take men as seriously.
Yeah.
Like I've seen men try to de-escalate. I've seen men get literally punched in the face multiple times, and they won't swing. They'll just be like, "Hey, stop! Like, chill out," and then they'll maybe like push her, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, I can't believe he did that." It's like, what? What do you mean? He's getting hit in the face.
Yeah, which is crazy because I had an incident like that. So this lady, I'm not gonna say she robbed me. She didn't rob me, all right. But the course of action that happened is she said something about my mother, right?
That's never the way to go.
And I was like, you gotta go, like so. I threw my phone like to the side. She goes, she gets a knife. So I'm preparing myself for what's about to happen. But over the course of her getting the knife and approaching me, she went and got my phone because I was just trying to get her away from everybody else that was in the situation.
Right.
So she takes my phone and then she starts trying to walk away. She's calling her boyfriend like, hey, come pick me up, blah, blah, blah. So I go back to look for my phone and I realize it's gone. Like, oh, now I'm going to have to, what I'm saying? So like, I'm like following her and I don't want to put my hands on her because I know what's going to happen. She still has a knife on her, everything. But I'm so mad that I'm prepared for the repercussions of the knife. I was more scared of the lawful action than I was. I didn't care. The knife didn't even register in my head.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be like that.
So we get there. The cops ended up coming because her boyfriend pulled up. They had like guns in the car or whatever, and they drove away. My sister pulls up. They're like, my sister's like arguing with me. I'm like, why are you talking to me? Do you not? So I took my sister's car and followed them. So somehow there was like a police. We like turned down the street. There was police right there, and they seen us like cutting traffic, right? So they tell us to pull over. You know what I'm saying? They search her. They didn't have a female officer. She put my phone in places the cops couldn't search, so they didn't find it on her persons. And I told the cop. The cop was asking me what was going on. I'm like, bro, look, I know I couldn't touch her. He was like, no. This county, we don't abide. I'm still not gonna take the risk.
Yeah.
But that's what they say. I'm like, it is. It's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I've always believed in that, but also like when I got diagnosed with PTSD at first, I was a very angry person. And I remember there were times where I would go out with my girls and I felt like a man was disrespecting them. And I would be that person that was very aggressive and would try to start fights with like grown men that could easily kill me. Yeah. And luckily they didn't. But like it was kind of my own past of like, if they did hit me, that would have been my fault. Yeah. Because I'm the one instigating. I'm the one like getting up in their face. And I had to really think about it. Like if one of them would have, they would have fucked me up. Yeah. And I can't have anyone to blame but myself.
Yeah. So. And I think the internet is a bad tool. I'm not going to say. Have you seen a Social Dilemma documentary? Mm-mm. So it teaches us how there's only two type of people who call their consumers users. Do you know what those two things are?
I don't like that term. That's weird. Users? Yeah, no.
It's drug companies and social media companies. Because it's literally the way that they program your notification system is based on getting you to pick your phone back up so they can show you more ads. Yeah. So you're literally, they're like... the same way your brain could get hooked on drugs, it can get hooked on social media, and then you have everything else in front of you. But I say that to say the number one thing that gets people to interact on the internet is anger, right? Because you don't think, that's when you think the least rationally. Yeah. So I don't like how the internet is spinning the narrative that women don't take accountability, right?
Yeah, that's been a big one.
But the only reason I say that is there are a large portion, I'm not going to say large, there's a portion of women and men that don't take accountability. But most people, I think, are level-headed people. Yeah. If you talk to them. I haven't had one girl on this podcast come and say nothing crazy that people would say, oh, this fits the stereotype of the internet. So it's good that you said that, though.
Let me start. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I think everybody has their viewpoints, and sometimes it could be jaded a little bit by experience.
Yeah.
But I think everybody all wants to live in a kumbaya, you know what I'm saying, environment. Keep it.
I mean, I weirdly attribute that to, like, I've just been around a lot of abusive people. Like, I've been abused a lot, and I would not take it back because I learned so much. Like, I learned how it feels when you treat people like that, and I learned that I don't ever want to be that. Yeah. And also with mental health, which I really have to give credit to my boyfriend for this because I didn't think about it. You can be manipulative without being a bad person. Like, sometimes it's a trauma response. Sometimes you're manipulative and it doesn't mean you're evil. But what you have to do is be mindful that you're being that way and, like, rectify it. Yeah.
I don't know. One, I've been scarred by emotional manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And now I can see it from like a mile away. And I haven't gotten to the point where I could explain to somebody, like, you're emotionally manipulating me and you gotta stop. I don't know how to go about that.
I definitely am quick to think people are manipulating me because of what I've been through. Like, I'm quick to be like, you're gaslighting me or you're doing this to me, and they might not be. But I also recognize that in myself. Like, I'll come back like 10 minutes after an argument and be like, you know what? I think that I was like that because of this, and I apologize. Like, you know, like, my bad. I'm trying to learn from it.
How do you feel about are you good with accepting apologies?
They make me feel awkward, honestly, because I've been so used to feeling like everything is my fault that when people apologize, I still assume that guilt. Like, they shouldn't be apologizing. It was probably my fault. I'm probably the one that made them do that. Yeah.
I think I'm like a person who lets things boil so long that there's no way you don't know that you're wrong. So by the time you apologize, if I get to the point where I feel like I have to say something, we are far past the point where you should have realized like what you were doing.
I think, like, because the way I communicate, I'll tell people, like, when somebody does something that bothers me, I'll say it like, oh, it's fine. And I think because of that, they don't realize how much it bothers me. And then it gets to a point where I'm like really pissed off about it. And I'm like, you gotta stop doing that. And it's to them, it's like, whoa, like, where did that come from? It's like, I've been telling you, but because of my tone, like, it's not taken seriously. So I definitely have to work on that.
I think I'm the same way with that's fine or it's all good, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I will stop communicating. Like, I'm a cold turkey
Yeah.
person.
Same,
Like,
same. Yeah.
if I feel like this situation, whatever it is, relationship, friendship, coworker, is like toxic to my mental state, I'm gonna just remove myself from it. I'm gonna let you continue to be you for sure, but I'm gonna be over there. And I think some people take it in stride, but some people I feel like are like offended. Like,
They take it so wrong. Like,
Yeah.
I've had personal and business relationships where I'll literally say, hey, you know, I don't think this interaction is for me, but like, I wish you the best. And I'll be so nice about it. And they'll be like, well, I didn't want to be around you anyway. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? Where does this come from? Like, I'm trying to be nice about it. I'm trying to be like cordial. And it's almost like the nicer you are, the more it irritates them because they want to be the one to cut you off.
yeah.
So when you're the one that cuts them off, they're like, what? I don't.
You're better than me though. I'm not even gonna say nothing. Like, if I feel like, because nobody can tell me that they don't know how to treat people because they know how they want to be treated. All right. So I ask for the bare minimum requirement. Treat me like you would want to be treated. And I think a good thing that how my parents used to talk to me, that I didn't notice until I had to use it, right, is make people answer for their questions. So you ask somebody like, hey, so you remember that thing that happened? Yeah. How would you feel if you did what you did and you were in my position? And let them talk. Don't say nothing. Wait till they finish talking. And just sit there. All right? And what would you do if you were me and I was you? How would you have responded to that? And like, what that does is it forces people to, I'm not going to say take accountability, but say, I knowingly treated you a way that I know I wouldn't have wanted to be treated. And once I get that, there's no point in me ever talking to you again.
Yeah.
You knew.
I mean, I do feel like me kind of being cordial about it is for two reasons. One, because like I really don't want to fight with people. Like I just don't.
Yeah.
And I am feisty. Like I know that I don't want to tap into that. Like I know like when when my ex and I broke up, like him and his mom were like so nasty to me. And I was like, I'm gonna be cool. And they pushed me. I was like, he doesn't even know how to make a grilled cheese. Y'all need Jesus. And then I just left. And I wish I hadn't said that, but I did.
Yeah.
But also I feel like there's a fear because of social media because people are going to leak your messages. Like that's a given. Like once you get to a certain point, people are going to leak it. And if you're like, well, you look like a hot dog, people are going to leak that and be like, look how rude she is. So I'm trying to like also be nice, but also protect myself.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But I was fortunate enough to, I was a school kid, you know what I'm saying? Suburban dude, as Kodak would say. And I was just fortunate enough to grow up around people who were like in a certain culture, where the consequences were a lot higher than what I had to deal with. And I think I learned how to move with a level of respect where there's no DMs out there. If somebody leaked them, I'm going to be like, oh my God, you know, if I said it to anybody, I would say it to you. Like, and I think once people like live like that, things have become like a lot less stress, because if you felt that way, you are valid in your feeling. Like, listen, your son can't do nothing for himself. That's not my problem though. That's why I'm leaving. Y'all gonna have you're gonna have to be you for the rest of your life.
And I think the most important part too is like you can say what you need to say because like I say how I feel, and I do feel like, again, I feel like I have to tiptoe on this, but I feel like I did react the way that I reacted in the past because I had a lot of undiagnosed stuff. Okay. And I don't want to use mental health as an excuse. I do feel like I did react those ways without knowing why. But also, I take accountability for them. Like, the people that just talk about their exes and talk badly about their exes and that's it, I can't relate because when I say the things that my exes did that affected me, I will also say, but you know what? I was also this way to them. Yeah. So I understand, like, I was not perfect. I was not blameless. I was also like a contributor in why this ended the way it did.
What's up? You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a nice clip for the internet that says, oh, women don't take it. You know, I think most people take accountability for their actions once they have a time to slow down in life and think about it.
And that I think that me living on my own for most of my adult life really helped that because I was with me, myself, and I. Like when I moved to Augusta, I had nobody, and it kind of forced me to sit down and be like, how can I be a better person? How can I stop reacting in ways that are hurtful? Because hurt people do hurt people, but that's not like, I can't use that as an excuse. I have to be like, what can I do to cope better than I am?
Mm-hmm. That's good. I think like we're put in like this cycle. Or let me ask this first: do you see yourself as like because you worked in a hospital, you worked at a like jewelry store and all that stuff? Do you see yourself as somebody who has like a traditional job going forward in life, or do you see yourself as like, I'm gonna make my music to the point where it makes me money and I kind of like live off that?
Definitely music. I don't think that I do well with traditional jobs just because they're just so monotonous and they like drive me crazy, and like I know that that's necessary, and I don't want to say like it's not from a point of privilege because I'm broke out here, but I know that like it's just not a lifestyle that I think would do well for me over time.
Yeah, I think we're thrown in like this loop, and I never understood it until COVID hit, right? Mm-hmm. That like we're born, you know, some people, I was fortunate enough to be put in a daycare, right? And you're put into a daycare, and then you go to school, then you get a job, and life is just moving faster and faster and faster over the course of time. And people blink and they're 60. Like,
yes, I'm terrified.
Yeah. So COVID gave me the ability, well, it forced me into making content and being successful on YouTube. But okay, it forced me into, listen, you're either going to go back to work or you're going to focus your energy on this thing that you're building, and you have a little bit of time to think about it. That's what it gave me the ability to do. And I never understood that cycle I was in, like 6 a.m. every morning to 12 midnight every day. Was like crazy. But now like life is a lot less stressful, but I think what they do is like social media is like the carrot, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you can have more. Eventually, you know what I'm saying? You see Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos going to space. Eventually somebody's going to be like, I want to go to space too. So you're going to have to try a little bit harder in life.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the fault of social media. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think video games are such a good thing, because like you have the ability to just sit back and be whoever you want.
I love video games.
For real?
I love video games.
Top 3 video games. Go.
Animal Crossing.
Okay.
I really like Halo as well.
Okay.
And
which one?
4.
4. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And GTA. But I don't do the missions. I just punch people.
That's me.
Yeah.
I think like my top 3 games. Number 1 definitely has to be Final Fantasy VII for sure. Number 1 game of all time. Number 2 would have to be Zelda Ocarina of Time, the N64 version. And number 3 will have to be Among Us.
Really?
Sure. Yes.
I haven't tried Among Us yet.
What? Among Us is like one of the funnest games ever. Only because like I know how to read people's social cues very well, but the curse, I think it's, have you seen JJK?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I think the curse of being able to read people's social cues very well is that you know what you can do to manipulate those social cues.
Yeah.
And if you're not a good person, I've had friends who were just like me. Obviously, that's why we hung out with each other. But the things that they did with being able to read people's social cues is the reason why we're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I say video games are such a great thing, because you have the ability to express these things that can hurt people in a way that doesn't hurt people.
That's true.
right?
I never thought about it like that.
So like GTA, you walk around punching people. You're like a feisty person that argues with the big.
Yeah.
Now there's nobody big enough to beat your bazooka cheat code. All right,
Yes.
in the game.
Oh my
so.
god, I love cheats too. Sims used to be my favorite, but it got a little too real because now it's like, oops, you're in overdraft. I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
What? I want to
Really?
try to play this game to get away from that. What?
That is so. Have you tried any of the virtual reality stuff?
No, because I get really motion sick, so I'll puke. But I want
If
to.
you get motion sickness, like the first time I put it on, like immediately, like it was like not even like less than a minute, and I felt like I was about to puke.
Yeah, I tried, but like I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I would say sitting down is definitely worse, but like, sitting down is worse than standing up, but like, your brain will adjust over the course of time for sure.
A virtual reality music video would be really cool.
See, I'm glad you said that. 'Cause I told people there's a 360 YouTube. You can't see it on like your phone, but if you have an Oculus, you could go to. I tell people like if you want to be a musician or like a fashion designer or anything, you can do the 3D version or the 360 virtual reality version of it now, and there's not a lot of people in the market. So like if you're doing music videos, it was literally a girl, she got a 360 camera, set it down, she did a scene up there, she did a scene over here, a scene behind the camera, and then like another scene, and like you're able to see her sing her song and just like look around at the different scenes of her.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then she'll go to like another scene where like she's standing in front of the fence. Then she's like down there sitting on top of the fence. Then she's like laying in the road behind her. And it's like, it's not highly edited. It's not like a Hype Williams, Kanye West music video, but it's entertaining because nobody else is doing it. So I would definitely like look into that.
I'm so dumb. I thought the 360s, like the camera's here and you just run.
No, it's like a camera. It's like a stationary camera. It has like 8 cameras with like a
okay.
convex or concave. I don't know which one. Like lens, and then once you put it into the program, it stitches it together to make it one thing.
Okay.
So, just like how you could use Photoshop to like you set a static camera up and take a picture over there and a picture over there, and then like make it look like you took one picture in 2 places. You can do that with the video.
Gotcha. Because I'm like, if I'm running around, it's gonna be me throwing up here and me throwing up there.
So no, I would definitely like look into that for your music because that'd be an immersive experience for your fans.
TikToks too.
Yeah. Do they have?
I don't know if it supports it, but that would be
know.
cool.
Because I know Facebook started to support it when they maybe that's how
Yeah.
they were getting the Facebook. I've peeped the game now. But let me see. What questions should we end this podcast on? Top 3 movies that you've seen.
Ooh. So I have the attention span of a peanut. So I usually can't sit through movies, but I really liked Don't Look Up. That one was a good one.
That was good.
I like Across the Universe, but honestly, it's kind of, I feel like if I watch it now, it'd be kind of corny. I just really love the Beatles. And A Quiet Place. I really
never
love
seen
those
that.
movies. Those are really cool.
Do they really not talk in the movie?
Not much. But you know what? I've seen both of them, and both times there was a man snoring or like a child being loud. I'm like, it's literally called A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
I need y'all to get it together.
Like in the theater?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Do you watch Marvel?
I watch it for Chris Evans.
You said what?
I watch it for Chris Evans.
Oh man.
It's America's ass.
That's crazy. Look, Marvel, the way they stitched the whole thing together is amazing. I love things that like come full circle with like a broader storyline, which like Pixar. Have you ever like watched the Pixar theories on
No.
Watch those. How like the girl from Monsters Inc. is the witch from Brave. It's crazy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like stuff like that. I saw like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was supposed to be like Snowpiercer, like that kind of thing. Yeah.
There's a YouTube channel called Alex Bell on YouTube, and he breaks down like the SpongeBob theory. So I'm gonna ask you this question. All right, gonna see if you can get this right. What do you think the Krusty Krab secret formula is?
Crab.
I'm gonna give you 3 guesses. So crab is 1. It's wrong.
No.
You can call it lifeline. You know what I'm saying? Call it lifeline.
Yeah, lifeline. Crust.
Crust. one more.
Okay, one more. The other fish, like the fish that are down there.
It's close. It's close.
Really?
Very close. The Krusty Krab secret formula is actually Pearl's mother.
Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
Mr. Krabs.
And and the only reason he's raising Pearl is when his mother's meat runs out. He's gonna use Pearl.
He's rationing it really well because he's
and
got a lot of business.
And you're probably like, nah, there's no way. Just go watch Alex Bell's theory. You know what I'm saying? On the listen, the things he has like the Neptune theory. He has the theory of Squidward and Squilliam are old lovers.
I can see. I thought SpongeBob and Patrick were lovers.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's another one? Mrs. Puff is like a fugitive from another city.
Oh, I can see that.
What's another one? He had the Squilliam theory. The Squilliam theory and the Krusty Krab one. I've watched those like multiple times, bro. It's like, it's actually insane. And it's like the lore is verbatim. It's not like he just, because some theory channels on YouTube, they'll be like, but what if?
Yeah.
He's like, this is this. And look, on this episode at 17 minutes and 3 seconds, this happened. And
Yeah.
it's crazy.
That is crazy. I definitely need to watch more movies, though. I feel like because I've taken videography and writing, it kind of kills it.
Yeah.
Because once you know the behind the scenes, I'm like, well, this was poorly executed. And
Yeah.
I'm like the most annoying person when I watch movies. Yeah. You know? I'll be like, oh, really? We're going to end it like that?
I'm like that with script writing. I'm like, the way things are shot, people always talk about like Squid Games or everything everywhere all the time or all at once. Like movies like that, I enjoy them because like they look shot well to me. But when it comes to bad script writing, I'm like,
I thought Squid Games was horrible.
Really?
I didn't like it at all. Visually stunning, but like the story, I was like, there's so many plot holes, and like I hated it.
What plot holes did you see?
So for example, like it wasn't well done because at the end for the guy to just be like, oh, I did all this because I was bored. It's like, what? I thought that was a bad way to end it. Also, they did like the mask reveal of that guy's brother, but there wasn't enough of a connection for me to care. And also there was one scene where this girl said she had to pee. And if I'm to believe that these people are like the security is someone who would just shoot anybody, why they let her go to the bathroom? Why they just let her pee on the floor?
See, here's the thing though. Like, I think it's like understanding of the real world applications of these things.
Yeah.
So like the guy who said I did it because I was bored, there are literally people who are so rich that they will do anything for enjoyment because they can literally, when you can get everything you want, there's no, that dopamine leaves your head, right?
Yeah.
So now they're literally, do you watch Kingsman?
No, but I've heard it's really good.
Please, you have to watch Kingsman, especially the last one, and you'll understand because like Kingsman is about how like Russia, the England and another brother somewhere in there, they are literally playing war like how we play Call of Duty. They're doing that with real people. They're just so rich that they do it with humans, right? And I think Squid Game, the whole concept of these people being so rich that they're literally gambling on people's lives, is like the concept behind him saying like, I'm really just bored.
Yeah.
And the brother reveal, I don't know that one as much. And was the girl peeing? The people who work for them, they're not really there to be like trained killers.
Yeah.
They're just people. That's why when they took the mask off, they're like, you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, we're all victims of this system that people wwho have large amounts of money are forcing us into. Like, I didn't want to be this person who you lose this game, I kill you. But like, think about somebody who has to like come evict somebody from their house, or like somebody who has to close down the gym when you have like a homeless person who pays a membership but is paying the membership so they have somewhere to take a shower and sleep, and I gotta kick them out. That, I think that's what the people in the suits signified.
Yeah.
So
I think I was just so emotionally invested in like the old guy that it would have made like I would have liked it to be more like, because at the end, before he said that they pointed out a homeless guy, it would have been more like, you know, I was that guy, but I had to know, like, you got to be ruthless if you want money. Like, it would have been better if he was like, this is what you got to do if you want to be rich. You got to be willing to die. You got to be willing to kill people. Not just like, hee, I'm bored. Like,
I think, but I think it's like, I'm bored. Like, look, this homeless person, I have enough money to change his life. But instead of doing that, I'm going to just sit up here in this hospital bed and say, you want to bet if he dies? About 12 o'clock? Like, that's basically...
I am nitpicky with shows, though. I think the only show I have not been nitpicky with was Handmaid's Tale. And that was such a good show.
I didn't like Handmaid's Tale.
Oh, I love Handmaid's Tale.
Really?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you think that was like the most flawless show to you?
Yeah, just like talent-wise as well. Like, I think Elizabeth Moss is like just ridiculously talented.
I'm trying to think, like, what is the greatest show that I've ever seen, or greatest movie? SpongeBob is a classic. SpongeBob is definitely up there. I would say the first 2 seasons of Tokyo Ghoul, it's an anime, elite. Like the ending of the season 2 finale was one of the best episodes I've ever seen in my life. Trying to think of another show.
You was really good. I was obsessed with You as well.
You was good.
Yeah.
I thought season 3 was about to be terrible too.
I did too.
I was like, bruh, season 3, he's about to fall in love with the neighbor. This show is about to be dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I enjoyed the most about You? It's how they worked in all the real world things that were going on. Like
COVID.
The measles.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, don't you think it's crazy that people don't just... I was like, this is beautiful. Like, please, because I like when art explains certain things.
Art imitates life.
Exactly.
Yeah. Stranger Things too. I really like Stranger Things.
Yeah, Stranger Things is a good one. There has to be... I think Black Mirror is a pretty flawless... Every episode is pretty flawless to me. But, yeah. But let everybody know where they can find you.
So on Instagram, actually everywhere, it's just I am Lielac, Lielac, because there's no lies here, not on purpose at least. And
Did you do that on purpose?
What?
Like spell it like that?
Lilac, yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, like pastel colors are my favorite, and I feel like they make you feel very calm, which I feel like is my personality a lot of the time. Like, I'm very chill, but because of what I've been through, there's like a darkness there, which is why I spelled like a nice thing with the word lie in it. It's kind of like an extra layer of like darkness to something light.
Bars. That is crazy. So you say find you everywhere on Lielac, even Spotify. What?
Yep.
All streaming platforms.
Everything is Lielac. Yep.
What Netflix show were you on?
It's a movie.
What movie was it?
So I don't know if this is actually what it's called, because I heard that a lot of casting agencies will make up a name because they don't want people to spill the beans. But I think it's called Strangers, but it's not out yet.
Oh, it's not out yet?
Yeah.
Okay. What were they shooting? What was your scene?
I was just like a party background.
Okay.
But I'll be extra in the back. Don't worry about it. I'll be extra in the back. And I'll be like, you see that bun? You see that bun for 2 seconds? That was me. See the back of my head for 2 seconds? That was me.
That's funny. But look, listen, y'all go follow her on all that stuff. I will link it down below in the description. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. This podcast will be on Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, all of that May 1st. All right, I promise. I have none of my episodes up yet. I have like your episode 32, 33. And none of them are on Apple Podcasts yet, but they will be May 1st. So, y'all.
If you need help editing, I can help you.
But listen, y'all like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And until the next time we see y'all, peace.
Bye.